So as of September 30th, we have 78 families in 100 families that are active. So every month we lose some that are just haven't been contacting with, in contact with us, are not continuing in our program. But 78 were active families that represented 210 children. So these are all DCFS cases. Yeah, I know. We're growing every month. We just launched February 25th, so this is really good. And our goal, of course, is to preserve or reunite families, and we are being successful. I'm super excited. There's 42 non-custodial cases, which means the children are in foster care. And 36 of those were protective services cases, where the children are in the family's home, but they are very high risk for removal. Okay, so every month we also show you our levels of crisis to thriving. And this is at intake. So you'll see the big area is the number one is crisis, that very first line for transportation, employment, education, recovery, food, and housing. And so you'll see that the majority of our clients had at least 3 crisis areas. And you can also see what those crisis areas were and how many were stable. So right here is the stable, and right here is thriving. So we have determined a matrix of what that means. So housing, if you're a 1, it means you're homeless. So we had 53% of the families in 100 families at intake were homeless, literally homeless. 51% had a transportation crisis. They had no way to get anywhere. They did not have a monthly fast pass. They didn't have transportation. They didn't have a mama that would drive them around, or grandma or something. Employment, 51% were completely unemployed and had no income source. So I've even, kind of added that because I thought, well, some people have, disability or something, so we shouldn't put them in employment crisis, right? And so this is 51% had no income in the household. These are parents with children.
No legal income.
Huh?
No legal.
No legal employment. They didn't tell me about whatever else they were doing. Okay. Education, 36% were in crisis in that they didn't have a GED. Okay. Recovery at intake is slower than normal, and we have a lot of people inputting to this. But what we've said is if they've used drugs within the last 30 days, they are in crisis right now, okay? So that's how we're measuring that. And of course, if you ask them, do you have a drug problem, they're gonna say no. But if you say, when did you last use? And that's what I always say. And I guess a week ago. I'm like, okay, yes, you have a drug problem. Okay, so that's a recovery crisis, right? And then the food crisis, 32% had no food stamps. These are families with children, no food stamps and no income, no way to buy food. And then we complain because families go from food bank to food bank. Well, it's their only source of food in those cases. But we got to get all these things fixed, right? And help these families to get somewhere. And this is what is happening. The crisis, look at how far the crisis goes down. So as of September 30th, these are our levels of crisis. 18% transportation. Have we solved transportation for these families? Most likely no. That's why only 36% were actually considered stable and 8% thriving. You'll see more are right here, 25%. And that means that they've been connected to some sort of resource. Like we've bought them a monthly bus pass. That doesn't mean that they're stable. It just means that they have a way to get somewhere, which is really important. So we did eliminate the immediate crisis, but we haven't necessarily brought them to stable. They're stable when they have a normal fixed way to get to the places that they need to go. Same thing on employment. You can see the crisis went down. The stability went up quite a bit. We are getting people employed, and that's really exciting. I love it when people tell me they got the job. Everyone texts you. When they get a job, they are so excited. That's one thing that they will tell me. They won't tell me that they but they will tell me, or that they, whatever else, that they always tell me when they get a job. Education, we are moving towards stability. That means that those 2s and 3s are connected to different resources. So they're enrolling in programs, they're attending classes, they're doing things to make their lives better. Recovery, this was really amazing. So we only had 4% actively using as of September 30th, which means used in the last 30 days. And there are some, and some of them, like we had them on a 4, and then all of a sudden it's a 1 again, because people do relapse. I mean, this is a normal occurrence. It's not something that we should decide we're giving up on you because, right? And then stability in recovery and thriving. So there's a whole lot thriving, which just, I think that people think of it a little bit differently from place to place of what thriving is, but it really means that they have no desire to use, they've attended their classes, most likely they've almost completed all their recovery classes, or they're close to completion, but point being, they do not have a recovery issue at the time, or they never had a recovery issue. So we're counting, I think y'all were putting if they never had a recovery issue as 6. I moved them to 5. So basically, they're thriving in recovery because they weren't ever on drugs in the first place. Okay, so that would be at intake and at September 30th. So stabilized in food. That's a huge when we're moving. I mean, that's something we can do, right? We can get somebody on food stamps. They all qualify. There's no reason for them not to be able to provide food for their families. So we're able to stabilize them rather quickly. In housing, we've been very successful at stabilizing people. We move them from homelessness and get them a voucher. So like those 2s and 3s are usually like they've been offered a voucher, or maybe they are in housing that is okay, but not necessarily what we would consider stable. So once they get into stable housing, then we report that as stability, right? And then, so you can see the movement, it's huge. Just from one slide to another, clients at intake, clients as of September 30th. That little light color goes up and that dark color goes down. Woo-hoo! Okay. This is the most exciting, it's most clear, because when somebody begins to get connected to resources, you can see the crisis go down, pretty immediately. So I decided to add a slide that just shows you at intake crisis and as of September 30th crisis. This isn't stable. The stable takes a little bit longer, but not crisis, right? So that's really, really exciting, that the crisis goes dramatically down over, the few months that we've been working with the clients. Okay, so the outcomes, there have been 11 family reunifications or home placements. Isn't that amazing? We had a client reunited with their kids within 2 months of removal. That's unheard of. It's really amazing. We've had 8 protective services cases closed. We've had several moved to unsupervised visits. Look, Trudy's over here crying because she works her butt off for these outcomes. You guys, I had a client just telling me yesterday about how much they love you, and and how much every time they see you, you encourage them. So thank you for that. That's so important. 7 families have gone. This is really fun when they say, "Oh, I got a $13 an hour job," or So 7 of them have gone from crisis to what we call career, which is a good paying job. We want them to, not have to be on minimum wage forever, right? So 7 actually have gone to where they're like, I don't think I'm going to qualify for food stamps anymore. That's good, right? That's exciting.